Hello, hello, everyone. Hi, hi, Courtney. Hi, Allison. Hi, Sarah. Sarah, how's your kitty doing?
He, no news is good news. So they haven't called yet. So he should be done. I get to pick him up in a couple hours.
Aw, poor baby.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Lena. Hi, Sona. Davis. Hi, Anna. Anna, welcome to the Travel Coach Certification Program. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Sarah. Hello, everyone. All right, I'm just going to hang on a minute because we had almost 100 registrants for today's session. So we're just going to hang on a second. Hi, Brittany. Hello. I hope everyone had a good Christmas and holiday. Um, this is open for certification program members and non-certification program members. So drop in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. We've had a lot of new certification program members join us, but those who are just part of the TCN universe here and you're here today, drop in the chat where you're tuning in from. Let us know. All right, I'm going to mute everyone. All right. I do have a lot to cover, so I am going to get started in just a second. We just have everyone joining us. Hello, everyone. Becky's in Vancouver. Mirka's in Finland. Hi, Mirka. Sarah's in Detroit. Anna's in Guatemala. Anna, our other member, Sylvia, also. Oh, no, I lie. She's in Ecuador. Not too far. I think there is someone from who lives in Guatemala though. We have members in 40 plus different countries. So we're going to work on some more meetups, in-person meetups in 2026. All right. Hello, everyone. Drop in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. Vancouver Island, connect with each other. All right, I'm going to share my screen and get started because again, I want to go through a lot with you guys today. This is a vision and strategy session, so it's part workshop and open Q&A. So we'll get into all of that. Tammy's in Orlando. Hello, hello. All right, share my screen here. Okay, Becky, I see you. Can you see my screen? Becky Livingston, can you give me a thumbs up? Do you see my screen? Okay, perfect. You're like the person that pops up on my thing to see. Um, hello, hello. Okay, so make this bigger for you guys. And for those who are not familiar with me, you might see my little rogue hand going up here. I kind of have to keep it up, so I'm not like waving at anyone except for hi everyone. Um, Okay, so today's session, I haven't done anything like this per se. Usually in the Travel Coach Network membership club, I'll do like a beginning of the year strategy session, but I wanted to do this vision and strategy session and open it up for anyone who wanted to join. And so, what today is focused on isn't about pressure or perfection or comparing yourself to anyone else, but it is about clarity, it's about alignment, and creating a plan that feels authentic and achievable for each and every one of you. I'm so glad that you guys are all here with us today and that you've chosen to take this time to invest in yourself as you come towards the end of 2025 and the beginning of the new year to grow your business, to get more clarity on your path as a travel coach. Maybe just you're here to learn more about travel coaching and the vision for what you want to do and how you want to show up in the new year. So, like I said, in this session, I'll be sharing openly. If you saw any of the promotions, I'll share more about how I got started as a wellness travel coach and being a founder of the Travel Coach Network. Even though the business model is different, I'm still a business owner. There's still a lot of the same things that I learn and go through that I teach all of you guys. So today I'll share what works for me, what didn't work for me. Um, Hello, everyone who's joining us. Let me just get everyone in here. Um, and what I wish I had known sooner for some things. So we'll take the time to reflect, to create a vision plan, and turn your ideas into some actual steps for you guys. I will also have space for open group coaching.
Yes.
So if anyone wants to share anything that struggling on, hold on, I'm just going to meet everyone, struggling on needs, thoughts, get some ideas for your niche, we can open that up for that. I will also open it up to a full Q&A. So if you're here to learn about something in particular, if you're curious about whether it's a certification program, whether it's any of our other offers that we have, travel coaching in general, anything like that, this is the time for you guys to do that. So let's get started here. Also, I hope everyone, if you can, go grab a pen, paper, or open up a Word doc. I want to make this engaging for you guys. I want you guys to actually give some thought and some takeaways and get some clarity in today's session. So I'll be asking you to write some things down, to reflect, to journal, and to hopefully share with everyone if you're comfortable with that. All right, so first is first I want to say that I want to invite you guys to open up honestly today, to be open to learning and to support one another in the Travel Coach Network. Our community is one of the things we're most proud of. You guys are incredible human beings all around this world. We share a common passion for travel. Travel itself is very personal, it's very emotional. We all have unique stories and our own purposes for why we love travel and what travel has done for us, and why we are here to help use travel to help the lives of others. So the support and the connections that you guys make is really important and something we always encourage you guys to do within the TCN. So this is a space for encouragement and not judgment. Again, I am here to give you guys any insight, advice, idea, support that you guys do need so that you can confidently end 2025 and launch into 2026. So hopefully by the end of today's session, my intention is for you guys to have a clear vision for the new year, strategic priorities in your business, a realistic action plan, and renewed motivation and confidence moving forward. Okay. So before we do that, we can just take one big breath together. 1, 2, 3. And we can get started. All right. So before moving forward, it's really important to reflect on what we've done, how far we've come. If you joined us in the certification program for our kind of end of the year member highlight and just wins kind of session that we had, I think it was last month, we talked many of you guys shared some of your wins and your challenges and overcoming. But since today's session is opened up to those beyond just the certification program, I wanted to bring back these questions. But again, it's important to acknowledge how far you've come already. The growth that often happens quietly, but we forget to give ourselves the credit for that. That's something I'm very guilty of and something I'm trying to be more mindful of for next year. So I'm going to invite you to spend just a couple minutes here to reflect on this question of what were your biggest wins and moments of pride this past year. If you want to just jot that down, like 1 or 2. And then we can open it up if anyone wants to share. Remember that you guys inspire one another. It's not easy to put yourself out there, to show up, to start a business, to do something new like travel coaching, to take a leap. Many of you I know have transitioned out of a long-term career, or you're just in a different phase in your life and you're ready to take on something new, something that feels right and fulfilling to you. And that's scary to kind of launch into that unknown. So putting yourself out there to support each other is a way that we, as human beings, but business owners also gain that confidence. Tammy says, I took the jump and opened my travel business spring of 2025. I signed up for BNI and the TCN, and I became a first-time GMA this year. Tammy, I'm sure people are going to ask you what those all are. Obviously, TCN is the Travel Coach Certification Program, but you might want to drop those in the chat. But congrats on all of that. Bruce says, I launched 3 focus groups successfully. Amazing, Bruce. I love that. I know all the work that we've been doing in the program, you're getting more and more clear on your who you serve and your niche. Wonderful. Does anyone else want to share any other wins that they've had? Oh, you guys are amazing. Dropping them in the chat here. Sarah says, I resigned from the State Department to follow my passions. Congrats, Sarah. We're so glad that you are here with us along with that journey and taking us on that journey with you. Sonia said I was laid off earlier this year from government, and my proudest moment is pivoting from my longtime communications career and making travel coaching and travel advising my full-time pursuit. Yes, we're so proud of you, Sonia. We know that the journey that you've had in the TCN, so to hear your excitement as well brings us so much joy. Janice says, 4 seasons being interested to hear about my business idea and reach out for a conversation. And Janice, that's amazing. Congrats. You'll have to keep us posted on that. One of the things we love to do in the certification program and the TCN is for you guys to send us our wins so we can help celebrate you guys. Sarah says, for me, it was going through my professional coach certification program with IPEC and deciding to launch a business. I challenged myself last week to step up for a speaking opportunity in early January, and I was selected. So now I've got to get in gear. Congrats, Sarah. I know that is really big and that's scary and hard to do. So you'll have to keep us posted in that journey and reach out if you need support in anything preparing for that. Brava says, completed the certification program. Yes, you did. You're now a certified travel coach. You found your niche and opened your business. Charlotte says, my first clients were just approved for the residency in Montenegro. Yes, Charlotte helps people with finding a place for them to thrive in another country. So congrats, Charlotte. Resigned from the State Department with your passion. Sorry, I think it's just comments popped up on that. I left my 16-year director role, started the Journey Studio, and opened transformative wellness retreats with a travel agency partner. Now opening horse retreats for summer 2026 with a German partner. Mirga, yes, you're part of the program. We love all the different partnerships that you're doing, which is something we definitely encourage you guys to do. You don't have to wear all the hats, so that's something we'll talk about in today's session to simplify and bring value to your clients at the same time. Wonderful. All right, we're going to move on to the next question, but keep on dropping your wins in here. I want to say your name correctly. Baglarka? You want to unmute yourself. You just joined the certification.
Boglarka.
What is it?
Boglarka, yes.
Boglarka. Well, welcome to the Travel Coach Certification Program. Says one big win of mine is very personal. I didn't go back where I already outgrew related to coaching. I finally found my purpose in Nation Coaching San Francisco. And yes, we are so happy to have you here. All right. You guys are amazing. So many wins. If you guys are in the program, send that over on the form, the submit a win, so we can help celebrate you guys and share that within our communities and socials and stuff. Wonderful. So keep on jotting those down in your journal, but we'll move on to the next question here. So this isn't all full of questions. We're going to have quite a few in the beginning here. If you want to also just write these down and then reflect on them afterwards, we encourage you to do that. This is going to be a replay that I send out, so don't feel like you have to rush everything in today's session either. So I want you guys to also think about what challenges stretched you or taught you something valuable in this past year. So what challenges stretched you or taught you something valuable? I can share for running the TCN. I'm stretched in all different directions, especially having a 2-year-old. And so one of the things that I've learned is that I need to learn how to articulate need for support more. And that's something that's really big in business, especially as you grow. And that can be translated for you guys, especially if you're just starting off or even if you're just beginning, of where can you prioritize things and how can you delegate, or what kind of systems can you have in place too. So having systems and processes in place, which is something we talk about in the program, is really important for having that sustainable type of business. So does anyone want to share? Drop it in the chat with any challenges that stretched you or that taught you something this year. Hi, Tracy. Or if I said hi to you. Um, Answers are coming so fast here. Brava says, definitely learning how to navigate all the tech associated with online business. Yes. There are so many things to think about when you have a business. And that's why in the TCM, what we try to do is simplify that for you guys. So whether we do that with our partnerships or through our trainings to talk about what is actually necessary and what's not. I know when you start a business, you're trying to think about everything you need to cover or do, but in reality, not all of that needs to be done right away or should be done right away. And it's really easy to think about or feel like you have to sign up for all these different softwares and systems, but there's certain things that you have to do in your business first. So I'm going to actually cover some of those today before you take the leap in something, investing in something else or spending a lot of time doing something. But one of our partners, Cohere, which is the all-in-one platform, they're really great with that, creating systems and processes as well. But we're going to bring some other guests in, especially if you're in the TCN membership club, to help give you guys ideas on how to keep that ease and flow. I know Brittany, you had a replay in the membership club too, talking about what to focus on. I paid off a lot of personal debt this year. Certain months were hard because the majority of my income was going to debt, which can be not so fun and a bit demoralizing. But now I'm so close to being debt free, which has motivated me and having fun trips lined up in 2026. Yes, Brittany. Mindy says I've realized a lot of that too. Sahara, I was very stretched this year and learned to set boundaries with family and business. Absolutely. One of the first things I had to do when starting my own business was learn to put up boundaries with my family for some financial support because of how much, it takes to invest into your own business time and financially. Tammy says, trying to continue working full-time job and teaching while ramping up my travel business for my Act Two. Yeah, there's a lot of people in the certification program who are full-time in their career while starting their business. But one of the beautiful things about our program is that it is self-paced. So there's not a timeline that you guys have to finish it by. It is there for you. So many of you I know kind of put it on the side, lock it in at the price you get in at, and then start whenever you're ready. And I designed it that way for a purpose. Lisa says, my challenge this year was realizing at almost 60 that I could not get a job in my long-lasting career field. I was aged out and pivoted to reinvent myself again and become a travel advisor coach. Life is the art of the pivot. It sure is. And so is business. We are always evolving and changing and pivoting. And so embracing that journey. I kind of always compare business to like my backpacking days. You're always like faced with something new and challenged and like things don't always go as planned and it's a journey that you have to accept the unknown, and then business is very similar. Anna says working with host agency that can't seem to keep our website live so clients can't see it. We're switching host agencies now. Yeah, there's so many different things in business that you face, but again, it's about that pivoting. Perfect. Well, thank you guys for sharing all of those. Keep on dropping those down. Keep on writing them down and these questions in your own journal or Word doc. So the next question I have are what skills, confidence, or clarity have you gained so far as a travel coach? So what skills, confidence, or clarity have you gained as a travel coach? One of the responses that I get often from members of our program is that I didn't initially think, or I didn't think was going to happen, or I didn't intend to do it this way, I don't believe. But was a personal growth and journey that people go on. And business is very much that. Like you really learn who you are and what you're capable of and how you can tap into this other version of yourself and your own why. And we'll talk more about that today, the why, but your own why for what you're doing. in life, which is so important to kind of do that own self-assessment, especially when in the world of coaching, when you're working with others to help them tune into their own why, not only about why for travel, but their why for life. Like, why are you making the decisions that you're making? What got you to where you are now that's causing you to want to escape or get away, right? Um, Sarah says, learned during the shutdown, I am the only person who will invest in me. Hard lessons, but so worth it. Yes, Sarah, and I'll piggyback off of that is that in business, you are the only one who will care about your business. You really are. And I know that sounds a little harsh, and I'm not saying that like you guys don't care about the certification program and the TCM, but what I mean by that is like anyone you partner with, anyone um who's a mentor, anyone like that, like no one is going to care more for your business than you. We it's easy to think like, oh, once I land this brand, or once I get this opportunity, or once I get this partnership, or once I get, or I locked in this coaching package with this, coach, like that's the miracle answer that's going to change my business. But nothing will change your business but you. It's that time, the energy, the passion, the love that you put into it. Um, Like it says, learning about real stories and posts on Instagram and what to use when. It's really tested my patience and how easily I can be frustrated. Social media can definitely do that, and it is ever evolving. So I really just recommend you guys finding some systems that and platforms that your ideal clients are on and that you enjoy to be on, because we want you to build a business that you enjoy and want to show up for. It's impossible to show up everywhere. It's impossible to show up all the time. You have to find a rhythm. And maybe that's something that some of you need to work on for next year, is finding how can you create consistency in showing up. And how do you do that? What actual platforms will you show up on? The frequency, what are you talking about? And what is strategic for your business? Cheryl says, I got clarity on the specific niche audience that I want to serve. Good, Cheryl. Cheryl, if you want to drop in the chat what that niche is, we'll also talk about that in a couple of minutes here. Janice says, recognizing how much professional knowledge, wisdom, personal development, and travel experience I have to share with others. We love that. In the TCN, one of the things we're going to be doing in the new year is launching a couple marketplaces. And one of the marketplaces is where you coaches can offer an offer for the other coaches. So if there is something, a skill, knowledge, something that you have to offer other coaches, other travel coaches, you can submit to that form. We'll be sending those out more. As well as a marketplace where you can put your offers for travelers. So whoever your ideal clients are, whatever offers you have, we'll be putting a marketplace, and that will be visible to everyone who comes to our website, and we'll be promoting them too. So it says marketing is definitely a skill that I've learned a lot about. I do feel more confident now about putting myself out there. Still very hard, still hard every time though. Yes, putting yourself out there is very hard. What I've learned is that you kind of have to tap into a persona that who you're not, who you usually aren't. And it's not to say you shouldn't be yourself or you should create something fake. I'm actually a very introverted person. I've always grown up I'm an only child. I've always been very introverted. People always like ask me why I was so quiet. To this day, my husband thinks something's wrong all the time, so I don't talk usually. But that's not how I am uh, in my business. Like I show up, I create conversations, I'm there for people, I pitch to podcasts, I'm on in the media. Like my face has to be out there. You have to figure out like who do you want to become in your business in 2026? What does that person look like? What do they do? How do they show up? How do they talk? What do they talk about? How do they look? Right? I mean, like, I'm not walking around wearing this t-shirt all the time, which I probably should because it's extra advertising for myself for free. But I don't. So who do you want to be and become in your business for the new year? Let me make sure there's not. All right. All right, guys. These are amazing. And I love you guys commenting on each other's stuff. So keep on doing that. And then the last question for this segment is going to be what currently feels aligned in your business and what feels out of alignment? So what currently feels aligned in your business and what feels out of alignment?
Okay.
So an example of that could be is maybe you're taking clients who aren't your ideal clients because you feel like, well, I'm just here to make some money for right now. I just need to bring in some income. Or I'm just taking opportunities that aren't aligned with my brand and who I really want to be, and how I want to show up, but those are just opportunities right now. So what currently feels aligned in your business and what feels out of alignment? Hi, Bruce. Everyone who's joining us, grab a piece of paper, open a Word doc. We're just going through some reflection questions here. So this is the fourth of the first segment. And then you can feel free to drop any responses in the chat. We'll kind of chat about some of them. Anyone have anything to share? What feels aligned in your business or what feels out of alignment? Where I am in with my business progress isn't aligned with where I thought I would be. It's hard to juggle everything. Yes, there's again so much to figure out in your business. Who said that? Brava, right? I sent out, let me make a note to resend it out to you guys. I emailed out kind of like a business checklist for you guys in the program. So there are things that you should think about doing for your business and how to kind of keep that organized. Because again, yes, there's so many things to do. And if you're trying to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, or if you're trying to do everything at once, you end up doing nothing that feels actually productive or in alignment. So it's really important to have a strategy going into the new year. So that's what part of today's session is about, that strategy. Aaliyah says 1,001 ideas versus 20 actually realized. Yes. What works for me, I don't have it by me because I changed rooms, but I have to have paper and pen. Like digital doesn't work well for me. I get lost in too many. I don't do well with tabs and apps and all this different stuff. I know many other people work differently. So I keep like a notebook. So whenever I have an idea of like, oh, we should do this in the TCN, or we should offer that, or I should send this out, I have a piece of paper. Once I get it out of my head and onto a paper, it's one less thing that floats around in my head all the time. Doesn't mean I have to do it right away. So then once I get the things on paper, I have my papers where things that can, and I do it a different system of like, I literally have one master list that I add to, and then I'll take a highlighter and say, what are the things I actually should be thinking about that I actually can do? The other ideas can stay ideas, but which ones are actionable for right now? So it could be simple as like, one of my goals for next year to build more of my personal brand and show up, especially on LinkedIn. So that is more LinkedIn content. So that's on my actual to-do list highlighted. So I move that over to a smaller piece of paper that I have, which are things that I should be focusing more on. And then I segment those into like, what do I actually need to do today? For example, put together the presentation for today's session or print out my notes for today's session. So I take all my ideas, put them down, and kind of break them into kind of priority of like, what can wait a month, what should I focus on this week, and what can I focus on today? So finding a system and rhythm that works for you guys, because again, there are so many things to do in your business and so many ideas you're going to have for your business. But if you start an idea and you don't finish it, now you're taking time towards that doesn't actually do anything for your business because you didn't finish it, didn't follow through, and it took away time that you could be working on money-making tasks and setting a solid foundation for your business. I am trusting the flow of encounters coming to me like horses now and Lapland under development. I am becoming more of a speaker of transformation and a builder of retreats instead of a personal coach. Yeah, ever evolve into, again, who you want to be. Still trying to align ideal client needs and messaging with travel coaching. Travel is just one of the modalities I've developed for clients who are stuck in their lives and don't know how to take action that moves them forward. Yep. So for you guys in your businesses as travel coaches, or if you're implementing and combining travel coaching with another role, it's up to you to be crystal clear for your brand, for your ideal clients, for your audience across your platforms and of what you do, who you are, and what you don't do. Who are you not? Even as the TCN, I have to constantly remind people like the Travel Coach Network, we're the Travel Coach Network, we're not a travel agency. Right away, they understand we're not a travel agency. Well, what are you? And then I explain that. So that should be present everywhere. So say what you do and what you don't do. What can your potential clients, ideal clients expect of you? So that all goes through your marketing. So when I say marketing, it's what you talk about on your socials, what's present on your website, what kind of blog posts do you do, what do you talk about when you're interviewed in a podcast. So wherever you're showing up, make it clear of what is your brand, what do you want to be known for. Okay, so that kind of moves us into next section. So the visioning for 2026. The first part was reflection. So now taking a look at visioning for 2026. So let's zoom out and look ahead. Strategy without vision often leads to burnout. So vision without strategy can lead to frustration, as we've heard many of the comments here. So today we're doing both, but we'll start with the why. So what I want you guys to reflect on right now is, why did you choose to become a travel coach? Or why did you choose? Why are you here? Why do you want to possibly become a travel coach? Why do you want to combine travel with how you help your clients? Whatever hat you have, whatever roles you play, whether you're a travel advisor, we have everyone in the TCN, travel advisors, tour operators, retreat leaders, medical experts, wellness, health coaches, life coaches. So what is it about travel that you want to, that inspired you to choose that? You can drop that in the chat. And like I said, not all are going to be prompt questions and prompts for you guys. We'll do some open coaching. I'll share my journey. But I think these are really important for you guys for a vision and strategy session to do some reflection for yourself. Okay. So lead the lifestyle I found, feed my inner child I reconnected with during my sabbatical travels. Yeah, travel has done something differently and so uniquely to each and every one of us in such a way. I mean, one of the beautiful things about that I get to do is understand why you guys are here in the first place when you join the program and when I do my one-on-ones with you guys, or even just however you get to share your whys. And it really puts in perspective how powerful travel is. And this is what we want to articulate to others, to our potential clients, to our ideal clients, of how travel can truly transform you, how travel really can benefit you, how travel can really help you reach the goals that you have, or the feeling and changes in your life that you strive for or desire that cause you, motivated you to want to get away or travel in the first place, right? It's all about that why. But you guys are here because you have understood and realized that why and those outcomes, those changes, the transformations. And so when you're thinking about your content to put out for next year, sharing your why is so important. It's so effective. Allison said, in my younger years, I knew several people who put off traveling until retirement and they or their spouse passed away before they took the time to go. Yeah, I hear that story often. Or I remember one of the things that I remember when I was just backpacking, for those who are new to me, I spent 10 years backpacking solo to 84 countries. And during that journey, um, I remember being in Myanmar, in Burma, and got on a shuttle bus, and there was a retired couple hopped on. They're traveling, they're from another country. And I remember them saying, "Oh, I wish that we did this, what you're doing, when we could back then." And I remember in my 20s thinking like, I don't want to be that age and have I wish I had, or the regrets, because we can't take back time. And so that always stuck with me, of like, even in business, like, just go for it, just do it, because it's one thing to wish and desire that we can do or have something, and it's another to actually try to put that into action. Still trying to align ideal client needs and message. Oh, wait, that popped all the way back. I think when you guys comment, it pops back up. Every time I traveled, I felt different and more enlightened. When I would get questions about my travels, I enjoyed talking about it. Um, and eventually, my passion to do more in the area strengthened, and it only made sense to make it a business. And I want to travel more to share and entice others to travel and use it to bring perspective into their lives. Tracy says, it feels like a natural progression for me after 16 years in the field of solo travel, plus 30 plus years of my own solo travels. I want to support people who have never done it, to experience the learning, the personal growth, and confidence that traveling alone can offer. Yes, Tracy. If you guys don't know Tracy, Tracy is Tracy, what is your like actual title? Editor at Solo Traveler. You guys should follow their newsletters. Um, And then lastly, Becky says, travel has for decades been the way I've reconciled so many challenging times in my life: divorce, grief, middle age, inertia. So I'm certain that there are others like me who could benefit from long haul travel. Yes. So one of the things I encourage you guys to do in the program is like what I always say is do your research. And I know it sounds a little silly, but it is so important to understand what's happening in the industry and what's happening within just travel itself. It's one thing to have our own ideas and stories and anecdotal experiences and opinions, but it's another to really understand and see like the bigger picture of everything. And so this is actually a good segue into me talking about like what's worked for me and how I built things. But what you said, Becky, reminded me of this, is because the growing women in travel industry, solo female travel, women travel, like that industry is booming, and there's so much purpose and meaning going into these experiences. So one of our partners is Journey Women. You guys should definitely follow their newsletters as well. They share a lot of this different information and research, but then also just the benefits of travel. So here's some other questions. We won't go through all of these. I want to make sure there's enough time for coaching and stuff, but you can write these down. So who do you most want to serve and why? So essentially, who is your ideal client? So take some time to reflect on that after today's session. Who do you most want to serve and why? What kind of life do you want your business to support in 2026? So how do you want to show up every day? What do you want your day to look like? You do daily, you do weekly, you think about monthly. And I'd really encourage you guys to think about daily habits as well. So how can you set up daily habits to support the type to help you get to the type of business that you want and lifestyle that you want in 2026? So does that include journaling in the morning, meditation, affirmations, reading more business books? Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, dropping solo traveler links in there. Right? So the kind of life that you want your business to support in 2026. Then how do you want to feel in your business a year from now? So at the end of 2026, how do you want to feel in your business? Tap into those feelings. And when you write those responses down, I want you to then envision how you physically show up. How do you physically look? What actions you take? How do you talk and speak in order to have those feelings when you have those feelings, right? So I want you to, instead of saying, sorry, I'm not saying this properly, but like instead of saying, I want to feel this way, how can you feel like that now? How can you be in that persona now, right? So living in that moment of those feelings that you want to have, if you were to feel that way now, how would you act? How would you show up? What would you think about? What would your daily routine look like? Because I want you guys then to act upon those throughout the whole year. Stand in those moments, in those feelings every day. Show up that way, even if you don't get the clients, the engagement, the money, the whatever. Still be that person that you want to be at the end of next year. Ava says, I want business in 2026 to be the foundation of a life of location freedom. Yeah, that's so common that you guys still want to continue to travel. And you guys can create that. You guys are the creators of your own life. I am a big believer that you can do anything that you want in your life. You can create any sort of business that you want, but you have to have that clarity and you have to take that action. All right. And then the last question here is, what do you want to be known for in this industry? So I kind of already said this one, but what do you want to be known for in this industry? That is key because it's all about your personal brand. Brava says, I want to feel abundant whenever I am working on my business. I am completely in flow state. I want that to continue. Yeah. And so figuring out what gets you into that flow state and how can you make that into habits and routines. I want to share the mindful nature bound lifestyle and interconnection with my travelers in 2026. And I know you're going to do that, Mirka. Nervous system friendly travel. Yes. Brava participated in our TCN pitch competition and shared all about that. I love the concept because it's so true, especially for like business travelers. Okay. I want you guys also to jot down to create your 2026 vision statement. Okay. So write a 2026 vision statement, but I'll share some examples here. Just some examples of what a vision statement could look like or sound like would be by 2026, my business supports my own well-being while guiding clients to meaningful, restorative travel experiences. I am known for my thoughtful approach, trusted partnerships, and calm, confident presence in the industry. Or by 2026, my travel coaching business is rooted in connection. I've built a strong community, meaningful industry relationships, and a business that feels supportive, collaborative, and purpose-led. Or another example would be in 2026, my travel coaching business is clear, profitable, and aligned. I know who I serve, how I help them, and how my business supports the life that I want to live. So those are just some examples. So for your guys' vision statement, I want you to state what you want your business to look like. What do you want to be known for? How do you want to feel? So a lot of those reflection questions that I had previous to this would make great components of this vision statement, right? And what I would like for you guys to do once you have that vision statement done is write it down, put it on your whiteboard, on a post-it note, put it on the front of your agenda, your journal, whatever it is that's in your face every day, on the mirror, so that you can remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing, and it keeps you consistent on that journey. All right, so now I'm going to move into just sharing a bit more about my journey, what worked for me, and I'll answer any questions about anything, not necessarily about me, but anything that will help you guys in your own journey as well. And so I'll shift now into teaching and more storytelling. So everything I'm about to share comes from my real experience, trial, error, refinement, and growth. So for many of you who don't know, I started my own wellness travel coaching business back in 2018. I didn't see the word travel coaching anywhere. I backpacked for, like I said, 10 years. I struggled for almost an entire decade to figure out what my career path in travel could be. I personally didn't align with any of the jobs, careers, options that I learned about in my own. I got my degree in hospitality and tourism management, as well as any of the roles and jobs that evolved over the years. That such as blogging or the travel agent turned to travel advisor or influencers or any of that stuff. And so I never thought I was going to be on a path of entrepreneurship, but because I didn't find what I felt would be how I wanted to use my passion for travel to help others, I figured I had to create it myself. But I had no idea how to start a business, what to do. I didn't know what that was even going to look like. So when I started Googling how to start an online business, I came across the coaching industry, health, wellness, life coaches, business coaches was being pushed through Facebook ads. And I was like, wow, the coaching industry is really booming. That's it. I want to be a travel coach. Before I heard about it, Googled it or anything, I locked it in and I wanted to focus in wellness travel, particularly for corporate and business travelers. And so I started that business. As I was building that business and figuring out what that looked like and listening and downloading any free webinar and resource and anything, I'm to this day still unsubscribing from newsletters that I subscribed to get their free resources back then. And that was what, 6.5 years ago. And I learned everything that I could and documented that journey and had many people reaching out about travel coaching and realized that there wasn't a platform for it. And so I created the TCN in early 2019. And so along that journey, as you can imagine, it still took a lot of effort to clarify and figure out what travel coaching looks like, how to articulate that, how to differentiate that, while also building my wellness travel coaching business. So in my wellness travel coaching business, I still do a bit of that today. 10% of my efforts is my wellness coaching, and 90%, probably a little bit more than that now because we're growing so much, is the TCN. But I have had incredible opportunities over the years to speak for not for free. I was paid to speak on stages and travel for free at big industry events to talk about the wellness benefits of travel, mental, emotional, physical, social, professional, and how this sort of information can give business travelers new ideas on how they could use their business trips to be better, feel better, perform better versus lead them to the burnout epidemic that was happening pre-pandemic to them. And so I spoke to travel managers and these big events and grew my network that way, which in turn really helped the TCN through my network. But my main revenue stream for my wellness travel coaching business was through corporate and speaking. And I did that on purpose because I personally didn't want to work one-on-one with people. I also partnered with companies and they paid me to create programs and digital products for their travel managers and resources too. And so those were the business models that I created. And growing the TCN, the marketing strategy has always evolved. And I know that's something that many of you mentioned in the comments of figuring out what your marketing looks like in your messaging as well. And so we talk about in the program a lot of funnel, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, like a funnel or system for your business. And that really is a thing. Like, what's your lead magnet? What's going to capture your ideal audience? What are you nurturing them with? And what is going to really just educate them more about why they should work with you and how you can benefit them, how you can help them. Does anyone have any questions at the moment? I'm open to taking questions about anything. I'm just kind of rambling and sharing like what I've done. I can share things on paid partnerships, how I got opportunities and clients, how I've grown my industry network, the first steps that I took in my business for my wellness travel coaching, which I can definitely share that. How I got speaking opportunities, how I either prep for those or built a brand that people recognize or now draws media to us. So I can answer anything. But how I started off in my wellness travel coaching business was through research. So that's one of the reasons why I talk a lot about research to you guys is like, it's one thing to believe, like I said, in these benefits of travel, but it's another to really understand what that looks like. So what are some examples, case studies, statistics, resources can you find that support whatever it is you believe in? So if you feel like travel is beneficial to women 50 plus to find their purpose and reinvent themselves, like what does that mean? How it sounds wonderful, but like what does that actually mean for them, for your ideal client, for women 60 plus who are going through that, who want that? What does that mean? What are some examples? So finding some sort of research of like, okay, maybe it's the benefits of time in nature. What does that actually do for them? If we believe in cultural immersion and the benefits of immersing ourselves in another culture and understanding, you know, another lifestyle or spending time with people different from us or connecting human connection, what does that actually do for us? So it's really important that you guys understand what it is you're trying to educate and empower people to do or convince them of, right? Because people need to be able to see themselves. Like it's one thing for you to inspire them by your journey and your story, which will work, but it's another for them to understand and be able to see like what are some actual steps that I could take or how could this really help me? So it helps you. That's amazing. I love following your story, your journey, but how's this actually going to help me? So whether you serve someone who's going through loss or grief, what does travel actually do for them? Maybe it's the time and space that it gives them. Maybe it's the new connections that they make and the stories that they hear that can take their mind off of what's happening and inspire them to, think deeper. Maybe it's them spending time giving back in another place that gives them to realize like, hey, there is more of a purpose of my life now. So what is it? And this is where we kind of fail in marketing often is because travel is so, like I said, so personal and so emotional, but we can't talk about all just the pretty sights and great things to do and see and activities and talk about how transformative and great travel is without giving people the specifics. So in your branding and your business, you have to understand. So I'll share some of the things I really want you guys to focus on is you have to know your own why. Your own why. Why did you start traveling? What did travel do for you? That ties into your story. So having strategy, a strategic brand story. Next year, I want you guys to, and if you're in the program, there's modules, there's tons of replays, trainings, workshops, and we'll have some more in the new year on how to create a brand story. Every company of any sort, brand, everything has a brand story. And storytelling is only getting more powerful and more sought after. So you have to be able to tap into your own story. Don't overlook and don't overthink your story. So figuring out who are your ideal clients, what do they truly want and need? What are they really going through? So what are those pain points? So pain points are, I know it's not like a great word. Someone would say like, I wish we found a different word for it, but it's pain points really just means you understand your ideal clients to their core. And that's what every good company, when I say company, I'm talking about beyond just the travel industry or hospitality industry. Every good company understands their ideal client to a T. Those are the pain points. What do they want? What do they desire? What do they need? What do they wish for? How do they want their life to look like? What's the first thought they think of in the morning? What's the last thing they think about at night? How do they want to feel every day? How do they want their relationships to look like, their life to look like? Whatever it might be. So figuring out your pain points. I know there could be a long list of them, but I want you guys to find some solid core pain points of your ideal clients that make sense to your brand and what you're trying to help them achieve or do or accomplish. Your own why, your brand story, the pain points of your ideal clients. Who are those ideal clients? So be specific in that. And the more specific you guys are, the better in your business. I'm not saying you have to niche so far down, but if you are specific about who you serve and why and the outcome that you're trying to help them achieve, other people will see themselves in that. You can always expand your offers and your brand, but you have to know where to start. You have to start somewhere. And especially in the world of travel and the world of coaching, which are very saturated industries. We're pulling them together. And now that's where this marketing, where people, some people are saying, well, I don't know really how to articulate what I do as a travel coach or make people understand what this is. You guys have to explain it. What are you actually trying to get your clients to do, realize, believe, think about? Right? That all goes through your messaging. So what is it that you believe so deeply in about your ideal clients? Why should they care about travel? That's the thing. That's the thing that people don't often talk about and include into their messaging and their marketing. If you say like this destination is incredible, this experience is transformative, women of this age should do this or go here or solo travel or do, why should they care? Why should they care? Again, going back to how can you give them examples and let them and paint a picture for them to see how it's possible for them? What could life look like if they experienced that, if they went to that retreat, if they went on that tour? Everything ties in a full circle to those outcomes and desires and needs of your ideal clients. And then when you have all these ideas down, segment them on a piece of paper and create a framework. A framework just says, okay, what are some common themes that you have going on here? Maybe there's 3, 4, 5 of them. Don't get too crazy, 6. But what are some common themes? And you can do overarching themes and be more specific underneath. So maybe your brand represents wellness. What about wellness? Wellness is so broad and growing. What does that wellness travel mean to your ideal clients? Right? So that could simply be immersing into nature. What kind of nature? Is it blue spaces? Is it green spaces? What does healing through travel look like for your ideal clients? Right? Maybe it's human connection. Maybe what does that mean? If you talk about culture, why people should experience other cultures, what does that look like? So is it the storytelling? Is it the changing up a daily routine? Is it understanding and getting new perspectives? How can that help someone realize whatever it is you're helping them achieve or do or feel, right? So create this framework that gives structure. So for example, another way to think of a framework is like literally if you created a course, what would be the module titles of those courses? And then what would be the lessons underneath each module, right? So if you're going to teach your ideal client about whatever it is you're trying to convince them to achieve and do through travel, why should they care about travel? And it doesn't matter when I say this, I'm not talking solely as a travel coach. You guys, we encourage you to combine roles, to do different things, to be a life coach plus a travel coach, to talk about wellness and travel, to be a travel agent and or advisor and a travel coach. Travel coaching is so complementary to all of these areas because it only gets you to understand your ideal clients deeper, create that trust, that loyalty, that safe space for them to feel like and believe that you're the one who can help them achieve whatever it is that they're trying to do through travel, right? So creating this framework that gets them to understand, like, yeah, this is for me. When you have this foundation that I'm talking about here, there's some other pieces we talk about in the program, like your core message and stuff like that. But once you have this foundation here, now with a bucket that you guys can pull from, this is the hard part. When you can get crystal clear on these elements, that's the research that you have, get some support in there. This is the foundation for your business. The bucket you can pull from would be, you want to create an offer? Great. Are you going to create a retreat? Are you have a group of coaching? You have a one-on-one? What are you talking about? Look in your bucket. Look at your framework. You have a speaking opportunity for what kind of audience? Great. Look in your bucket. Pull out of your framework. That's what I did when in my wellness travel coaching. I was able to expand to corporate wellness, to beyond business travel, for hotels. I never thought I would relate to or associate with hotels. But once you get clear, it gets clear for everyone else. Okay. And then showing up from there is essential. So when I say showing up, it's your marketing. So things that work for me in the program, I talk about media publicity quite a bit because it's one of my favorite ways and free ways to get your name out there, to get your brand out there, to be known, to be seen. So in marketing, there's social media, there's media publicity, there's your own website, your own blog. There's different ways to show up, right? To be known, to be seen. Like I said, media publicity are two of my favorites, so I'm happy to answer any questions about that. I learned early on how to build the muscle of pitching to the media. So I've shared a lot of that in the program and throughout the different trainings that we've had. So maybe you want to share your story on podcasts. Think beyond travel. I say this all the time, even in media, in publications, magazines, anything. Think beyond travel. That's so important for you guys because I know like we're locked in and we're like, well, I'm a travel coach. I'm building a travel business. I'm talking about travel. I'm convincing people to travel. I need to be on travel outlets. Yes and no. Yes, a little bit, but no, because what's more important is that you guys may not think about this, but your ideal clients may not be thinking about travel. And I say that because if you are working with burnt out moms, burnt out professionals, if you are people going through loss or grief or life transitions or career transitions or emptiness, like anything, that doesn't shout, go travel. They maybe have an inkling, but that's where you come in. That's where marketing comes in. That's why companies and brands sell you through their marketing to buy something that you didn't even know that you need. That's effective marketing. So that's why understanding your ideal clients and their pain points is so important because now you can, what we say, speak their language. What thoughts go through their head? What is their self-talk like? That's what you want to use. And over time, through your business, you'll actually get nuggets of this information. That's why it's so important to connect with your audience, to respond to comments, to nurture them, to get to understand them. What brought you here? What resonated with you? Go into Facebook groups that are related to your ideal clients. So, sorry, going off sidetrack, but going off the podcasts and publications is that go to those outlets where your ideal clients are. So maybe it's parenting, maybe it's grieving, maybe it's business podcasts. And it's also a lot easier to get accepted into these because you are now bringing the topic of travel to it, and they may not already have that. Okay, so there's different things to think about when you're thinking even for your 2026 strategy marketing. Can you talk about some paid partnerships? Yes, I can do that, Sarah. How did you pitch to business to create those programs, resources for the travel manager and team? And then this session has been so amazing. I regret for another meeting. Oh, no worries. Again, this is being recorded, so we'll send this out. Okay. I'll answer about pitching to the business. So I didn't pitch them, they came to me. So they learned about me through me showing up. So speaking, people shared my name. So building my brand in the wellness travel. So I'll share my journey of that, like exactly what I did. So when I was figuring out building my wellness travel coaching business back in 2018, I spent time doing research. So I researched the mental, emotional, that's actually on a Word doc that I have to this day that I still use on in these categories, the mental, emotional, physical, social, professional wellness benefits of travel. And I spent, I don't remember how long, doing research. So any sort of statistics, resources, studies, case studies, examples, anything that I came across that supported or shared information in any of these. I didn't go too crazy. I got to a place where I felt like, okay, this is sufficient information. Because of course there's so much out there. And one article leads down a rabbit hole to another resource. So I got to a place where I was like, okay, this makes sense. Or I started seeing redundant things. So I was like, okay, I think I'm in a good place. And so that's the information that I related to the business travel world. Because then I studied the burnout epidemic that was happening among business travelers. And I didn't initially plan to target business travelers. I was actually initially targeting the corporate wellness world and I was studying burnout. But then I was learning through burnout, through that research about what they call road warriors. So business travelers who travel X amount of times a year are current, who travel a lot, are these road warriors and what was happening in burnout with them. And as I was doing that research and I was kind of mental making notes of these different companies who were talking about who share a study or something like for example Hilton came out with like a burnout or business traveler burnout study report back then and so somehow I was on LinkedIn and ad came up for the Global Business Travel Association. I'd never heard of it before, but they were going to be in a neighboring city in Chicago at a big conference. It cost a lot of money to go. It cost a little less if you became a member, but then you had to pay for membership. And I looked at all the exhibitors who were going to be there, and I felt like, and I saw all these different names that I had saw in my research, and I felt like I have to go here. I have to go to that. So it was a big investment for me at the time, which I mean, all those big conferences are. I mean, GBTA to this day is still a big investment. Don't get me wrong. A lot of industry people have to like convince their bosses to let them go and pay for this. But I knew I had to go. And so I bought the tickets. And then because I'd made that investment, I was like, I have to make the most out of this. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I had no clue what I was going to, I had no offer. I just wanted to make my name known for something to do with wellness and business travel. So what I did was I went through their exhibitor list and got a notebook somewhere in my desk here. And I went to every single company who was going to be on the exhibitor floor to their website to see if they talked anything about wellness anywhere, any initiative, anything. And this was pre-pandemic. And so the timing for me was pretty good because I'm trying to think this timeline. Um, yes, it was pre-pandemic. And so people back then were like, oh, wellness, we might do something wellness. Corporate wellness is starting to grow, but not really anything until post-pandemic. And so I kind of got in at a time where like they didn't really care that much, but yeah, anyways, and then there weren't as much competition, I should say, I guess. But I went to the exhibitor booths of every single booth that was in my notebook. And if you've seen a GBTA conference or a big conference like that, where they have these massive, like multi-million dollar booths for each of these companies, it's intimidating. There's a lot of people and you don't know who to talk to. And so I went to someone who had a name tag who worked there and asked, is there anyone here that has to do with this initiative or wellness or anything? Even if they're not here, do you know their name or a business card? And I collected those names and business cards and walked around the exhibit floor with my notebook. And many people made fun of me because they didn't know what I was doing, looking at my notebook and looking at the names of the booths. And that's how I start building my relationships in the business travel industry was through the GBTA. And um, before I knew it, I was asked to speak. People started passing my name around, and I really became known as one of the wellness experts in business travel in the business travel industry. And the travel industry is actually a very small world, so that the business travel industry kind of rolls into the travel industry as a whole because a lot of these companies overlap with each other. They just have different departments, and something like GBTA is for travel managers and the business traveler side. But there's Hilton and there's all these big companies. So anywho, so it's they kind of just passed my name along, and that's why how I got to like speak at their chapter events. I got to speak at GBTA itself. I got to speak at different um, company or ProcureCon is another big one, 2 times in a row in Palm Springs. Um, so it really just built my relationships that way, and that's how some of these then someone like passed my name and these companies would reach out and ask if I can create products or trainings or speak at these human resources conferences virtually, stuff like that. So to this day, a lot of my board members on the TCI and advisory board come through the GBTA connections that I've made, or like I've met them through someone through that. So my point here is I always say to you guys another thing for your kind of marketing strategy is figure out what organizations, associations, memberships, groups have your ideal clients. Don't have to be as big as GBTA. You don't have to do that many of them, but who has your ideal audience instead of trying to go and like find them individually and hope they come to you or on your social media. A strategic way is to go to who already has them. You'd be surprised at what kind of organizations are out there. Years back, we had a widows organization email us and ask if we could do a webinar where some of our travel coaches who serve widows and grief travel do a webinar, and we did. We said absolutely. So you'd be really surprised. See if they have a blog. You can write a blog post. See if they have a podcast you can pitch to. Okay. See if they have events. Are there ways to like do something for free? Can you create a resource and say this would be this is a great free resource that I think would really empower your members to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm happy to send it to you, or whatever it might be. See what kind of opportunities lie. But these are things that you guys have to go and see and look for as you grow your business, as you get momentum, as you get known and seen. More opportunities will start coming to you. Okay. That was a long story, but sorry, that's how I got those. Can you talk about some of the paid partnerships? So yes, paid partnerships, what you want to do, one of the most important things for paid partnerships is you have to have something to offer. So if you're just starting off and you don't have many people on your newsletter, or you don't have a Facebook group or a community or anywhere. The reason someone would do a paid partnership with you is because they want exposure for their whatever it is they have, product, service, brand, anything in front of your audience or your ideal clients, anything. So you have to figure out what can you offer? What do you have? Do you have a social media following? Do you have a community of some sort? Do you have a blog that has X amount of views? Do you have a podcast? Like, what do you have? What kind of assets do you have that you can leverage? So even if you don't have that now, you don't have to have a huge following, you guys. The TCN doesn't have a huge following. We really don't, but we have a loyal following and we have a unique following. And so these brands and companies come to us because of our messaging on doing something different. So that's why you guys want to differentiate yourself and figure out what do you want to be known for, because then you can figure out who would be the right type of partners or collaborations or anything. You want alignment. Right? Especially if it's a paid partnership. If someone's paying you, there's going to have to be deliverables. So you don't want to take on a paid partnership if you don't really align. Like, the money's great, I'll take that, but I don't really align with what I have to promote. That's not going to feel very great in your business. So keeping a brand that's consistent. So one, the right ones come to you, hopefully. And two, you can articulate what you're looking for. So figuring out what you can offer. So there's different ways to go about getting paid partnerships. One is relationships. Building relationships is so important, you guys. And what I mean by that is if you guys, I think all of you guys, if you can be, I know for those who have another career and stuff right now, it's hard to do this, but you should be present on LinkedIn. All of these big companies, anyone in these companies of any sort that could possibly be a partner, possibly be a sponsor, possibly be a collab, are on there. Your ideal clients may not be on there, but the companies that have them might. Okay. Um, and so I love LinkedIn. I use my LinkedIn for kind of the business side of things, for my relationships, for partnerships, for sponsorships, for building the brand, getting recognized, for opportunities. On my LinkedIn, we have a TCN LinkedIn page that Layla on our team and me sometimes will post like what you kind of see all across all of our TCN channels. But my LinkedIn as the TCN founder is very strategic. And so it's about those relationships and nurturing them. If you have what I would like you guys to do, if you are thinking about, if you guys are in the TCN membership club, there's a replay on how to secure sponsorships and paid partnerships, like a full training. But you guys should write a list down of who would you like to maybe partner with one day? Who could that, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be in 2026, but who could that be? What kind of brands, companies, individuals? Maybe they're an influencer, maybe they're a blogger, maybe it's a sort of summit that you see, an event. Who do you want to get on the radar of? Let's say in 2026. So set that intention. Put that into your own universe. Okay. You don't have to make that list now, but make a note to make the list. So make that list, and when you guys have time, I would go through that. I actually am doing this myself. Thanks to many of you who on one of our forums, I asked like, what are some brands for us to think about? And ones that I've already been thinking about. I would take that list and I would go to each one, go to their website, look at their corporate team, their team, or who is decision makers, who's who in that company or brand, or how can you contact that person or anything like that. And I would connect with them on LinkedIn, follow their socials. So on LinkedIn, I would connect with the founder, the owner, the president, the marketing person. There's a partnerships person for sure. They always have different names. So like partners, sometimes it says partnerships, marketing strategist or something like that. Those are great people. Sometimes like a good one to do too is like a community manager or something. So you can maybe message and say, are there any opportunities that I can provide value for free to your community? Just get in their head. So set those intentions and then take action on them. Like how can you be known or seen by them? Connect with them and just say thanks for the connection, or sometimes you don't have to say anything at all. Many times I find those connections through a virtual event for free, like a summit or webinar, or an article, anything that I see that has people who I'm like, that would be a good company to connect with, or that person. I connect with them on LinkedIn. Sometimes I send them a message, sometimes I don't. So it just depends on like what it is. For example, like I connected with the editor and the person interviewed in that I shared with you guys that Hilton came out with the 2026 prediction for the year of the Ycation. So I connected with them and I was like, I just really resonate with this. This is what we represent in the TCN, just kind of putting it in their brain of who we are. Okay, so that's paid partnerships. And that can also roll into sponsorships eventually if you have in-person events, if you have a blog that you want to sponsor for, if you have a retreat you want to sponsor for. There's so many different things you guys can customize in your business to bring in revenue streams. And that's many things we talk about in the program. questions. It's much easier. How do you see transformational travel? How do you see transformational travel counselors or collaborative with TCN? I've known Jake, one of the co-founders, ever since I started the TCN. So we're always in talks to kind of see what's the right timing and what we can exactly do together. No worries, bravo. I know let me see how much else we have. Thanks, Brittany. Actually, this is something I'm struggling with, transitioning from corporate tech to travel brand. I don't really understand what I should be talking about on LinkedIn or even how to list my certification as it's in progress. Any advice here or training that should look at replay, Kevin? So Courtney, if you're still here, first you got to figure out, can you post on your LinkedIn? If you have a corporate job, and if you can, what I would just start with is just introducing what you're doing. Like, again, share your story. Start with like what travel did for you and why that your brand story that you're writing, what travel did for you and why you're transitioning into what you're building as a travel coach or in your travel business and who you're trying to reach. Just a simple story like that can really make waves, and people will get it. People get it. When we talk about the power of travel and what travel does for us, people get it. That's why everyone, no matter what industry or area or community, anything, when we talk about travel, people love to talk about travel because we understand it and what it can do for us. So just start there and then have a strategy for why you're showing up on LinkedIn. Again, like I said, on my own, Sahara Rose DeVore LinkedIn, I have a strategy. I am posting for a specific audience. I am posting to become a thought leader in the travel industry, but in transformation, in wellness, and travel coaching, be known for doing something different. I want to attract brands and companies for opportunities, for partnerships, for sponsorships, for speaking gigs, for media to be mentioned in media outlets. Like I have a strategy for what I'm doing. And what you post, if you guys didn't see, I put all of the 30-day content challenge into one PDF for the $7 for you guys. So in October, we did our very first 30-day content challenge. I send out prompts and ideas, full ones for 30 days. Those are all in your emails if you signed up for that. If you don't want to go through all your emails or you didn't sign up for it, I put them all into a nice PDF for you guys. So I can I'll email that out with this replay here. Or you can find it in our Facebook groups or emails. Those give you ideas what to write about. I did the same challenge through the 30 days on my LinkedIn. So a lot of those were inspired by that. So it gives you some ideas on what to do. As for what to say about the certification program, to state, I am currently in progress of getting my travel coach certification program through the TCN. Just state what you're doing. I agree with Sahara. I shared my sabbatical story on LinkedIn, which led into my current business. That audience loves the idea of sabbatical. Yes, especially if you guys, LinkedIn is also great, especially if you serve anything in the corporate. So career-wise, sabbaticals, those are big topics right now, trending topics. Burnout, even just moms, anything professional. Even if you don't focus on any of those, still show up on there. But there's always something to talk about if you connect with any of those or serve any of those sort of clients. You never know who's watching. For my first paid speaking gig, by just sharing on my Facebook personal profile, people are always watching you guys, always. And that's why one of the things I want you guys to do for the next year is get in tune with, what are your own limiting beliefs? What is holding you back from showing up, for getting the clarity, from doing the work, doing whatever it is that you want to accomplish and do or need to do in your business to get to wherever it is you envision yourself for the end of 2026. And identify that and then say, how can I move past this? How can I tackle that? How can I do something differently? So if one of the things is that, well, what I post doesn't have the likes or the views or the comments that I think or want, and therefore no one likes it. And I shouldn't talk about this. I should talk about something else. Or I should talk about what this type of person talks about because that's what works for them. That's not what you should be doing. If imposter syndrome or comparing yourself or tracking and measuring the likes and comments, throw that all out the window for 2026. I promise you. At least do it for like 100 days or 50 days or set amount of days for yourself, for you guys, and say for this amount of days, I'm going to post and I'm not going to care about any of these other things. See what happens. I promise you, just see what happens. Okay. And yes, Brittany said, oh, and I also got my free Antarctica trip. You sure did by just networking and being friendly and helpful to other agents who were your competition. Yes, that is something else. Yes, Sarah, she went to Antarctica. Um, uh, Another thing that I hear people say is, well, I don't like, I'm afraid to collab or partner or connect with or show up a certain way because of competition. There's other people in luxury, if that's what you think you focus in, or in women travel or solo travel. No one has your story, you guys. And that's why I talk about your story a lot. Think about your business like a brand, your personal brand. No one has your story. And I guarantee no one has your ideal client either. So being crystal clear on the pain points and who you serve are so important in your business because I guarantee others don't have those clients. And if you can articulate that and show up and be consistent, your ideal clients will find you, and that's how you're going to get business. Whatever offers you might have, whatever revenue streams you create, you will get business. You will get growing your mailing list, you'll get people to your Facebook group, whatever your funnel is to drive people to grow your business. I'm going to be speaking at the American Society of Travel Advisor Conference in 2026 in May in San Diego. So if anyone's going to be there, come say hi to me. But I'm going to be talking a lot about this with your ideal clients and your storytelling and honing in. Because I feel like people often think like, I have to choose these categories in this industry. Like travelers set these categories already. I have to fit myself into one of these, and you don't. You don't have to do that, and you shouldn't. The more specific, again, the more specific you can be in your business, the more effective you will be overall. No worries, Brittany. All right. Keep dropping some other questions. I know it's been about an hour, right? Hour and a half, you guys. Okay. But I want to make sure that I can answer any other questions you guys have. Stop sharing from there. Any other questions? Does anyone want any advice on anything? Any want to talk through any like your niche or framework or anything right now? How to position yourself as a brand rather than a service provider? That's a great question because it's not about selling. It's about inspiring, motivating, and empowering. So changing your approach, especially in the world of travel where everything is sell, 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 push, 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 promote, 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 buy now. People are over that. The industry as a whole is already shifting towards more meaningful, purposeful experiences. So people, where they spend their money, where they go, how they spend their time, who they travel with, what brands they buy from, what companies they do, who they follow on social media, all has a lot more meaning and purpose to it. So you have to have that approach as well. So don't do what you see. You guys have to figure out again for next year, figure out what do you want to be known for. That going into that part of your foundation, if you're in the program, is your brand, is your your values. Sorry, your core values. What are your core values? How do you want to make people feel when they hear you, read your content, visit your website, communicate with you, email you? How do you want to make people feel? Work with you, everything. Everything in the industry right now is about it's about storytelling and feelings. Someone that I'd love for you guys to follow is a friend of mine. He is incredible on LinkedIn. So if you guys want inspiration for our content, he's huge on Instagram. We have an episode with him on the TCN podcast. His name is Scott Eddy. I will put that down, or Mr. Scott Eddy goes by on social media. Gonna love that I share you guys following. Send him a message that you're following because I told you guys. He is in the hospitality world, but he built his own personal brand through being honest and showing up and giving his opinions and giving his insight and ideas and inspiring and motivating, and then opening for opportunities. He always on LinkedIn, he always says at the end, if you like the way I talk about hospitality, let's connect. So find these people who really do something that you resonate with. And I use that for inspiration. I told Scott the other day, I was like, thanks for inspiring me for this post. So I structured a post just like he structured a post. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel. But he's great to follow because of how he built his personal brand. And it's something he said to me on a call we just had recently. Everything is about a personal brand. Even if you have a business with services and products, everything's about a personal brand. I'm literally at the very beginning, just about to start the training program. Can I ask what you and anyone else here, if you're willing to share, wish you had done, you had known, or wish you had done before when you were at this point of just getting started? If anyone wants to tune in, you can definitely do that. The thing that I will say, Tracy, is what I have seen people do sometimes is they're so excited to get the program done and become certified that they jump the gun on a lot of this foundational content. And that's so important. That's why the program's designed the way that it is and is dripped out the way that it is, because there's so many things you should focus on these things before you focus on these things. You can't create an offer. You can't sell anything. You can't do a lot of this stuff until you are clear on who you're serving and why you're serving and what you're trying to convince them of and all of that. So the foundational piece is so important, and then you can move forward. Okay. So again, the program is self-paced, so I'd really recommend that you really take the journey and get that clarity, and then just know, okay, now it's time for me to move on because I am clear on this piece. Does anyone want to share with Tracy anything that you wish you had done or known when you were just starting off or did? You can also unmute yourself if you want. Yeah, I just think Scott tagged him for the info. Anyone want to share anything with Tracy? Also drop it in the chat. Brittany says, totally agree. I'm more of a fire ready aim type of person. I wish I would have met me earlier. Oh, you're so sweet. Aaliyah says, I have a question about competition. When do you start sharing your ideas out there? If you are looking for partnerships as a startup, do you experience copycats taking your idea and not involving you? Never worry about competition. Always put yourself out there. Even for you guys getting started, this is something else, Tracy, that I would definitely recommend is that people often hold themselves back from putting themselves out there until they feel like everything's ready, and that could be like their website's ready or they're certified or what they have an offer to sell. Put yourself out there. Talk about what are you doing? What is your story? What was your why for travel? What travel do for you? Start building that audience, but always keep your ideal client in mind. What is going to resonate with them? What's going to inspire them? Inspire, motivate, educate. Do that in your content. People want this sort of information and they will follow you. Then be strategic and figure out how can you capture them. So are you going to put them in a group? What's your lead magnet? All of that stuff. But don't wait to put yourself out there. I'm not saying go apply to speak on a stage somewhere. You might want to wait a little bit for that. But show up. Start sharing your story on a podcast. You don't have to have an offer, you guys. You don't have to have anything. If anything, people appreciate that you're not trying to sell them something. But put yourself out there. And if you're worried about competition getting in front of potential partners or someone else first, then do it yourself. Get there first. Start making those connections. Talk about what you're building, why you're building it. People love to be a part of the founder journey, the creator journey. You're welcome. I know you guys, I gotta go. We're gonna end this shortly here. Um, okay, perfect. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for staying so long. I will send out this replay. I'll send out that checklist that I was saying, and I said I was gonna add something else. Oh, the content workbook that we put together. You're welcome, everyone. I hope everyone has a great new year coming up. Um, and stay tuned for everything that we have going on in the TCN in the new year and more ways to get you guys even more involved and help you build and grow your business and bring clients and opportunities to all of you. We're behind the scenes working on all of this all the time. And so we're just really excited for what's to come in 2026. I just know it's going to be a big year, not only for the TCN, but just for what we're doing in travel in general about the why for travel and transformation and purposeful travel. So thank you guys for being a part of the TCN and thanks for joining today and thanks for watching the replay. All right, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.